Vibrillionaire soul greetings, soul blessings, beautiful Vibrillionaire soul family, loving, living the Vibrillionaire lifestyle, all day, every day, 24/7, loving, living, breathing, being the Vibrillionaire lifestyle, 24/7. We're Alice and Michael, founders and visionaries of Samadhi Sea of Wisdom Meditation School, serving both locally, humbly from our hearts out of Yuma, Arizona, all over the world. And here at Samadhi, we love to remind you that not just in Samadhi, but in life in general, it's never only about positivity. It's never only about negativity. It's about something much more raw, something much more real, something much more substantial, something much more organic, something much more pure, something much more genuine. And that purity, that authenticness, that genuineness is you. The real you you were born, designed, and destined to be. And the biggest secret is that you are right now. You are right now. In this moment, you already are genuine. The question is, are you in alignment with that genuineness? Are you reawakening by remembering that genuineness? And, excuse me. And today we are honored and blessed to be able to participate in this experience we call life with Mother Nature. Because without Mother Nature, who knows where we'd be? Who knows what we'd be doing right now? Who knows what we'd be breathing? It'd be called something else. So today is our 42nd, our 42nd week of Mother Nature's Inner Gathering that we've been doing since January. And excuse us for the slight delays, but we had technical difficulties. I was thinking about broadcasting from the back of our yard, but there's nothing better than coming out in nature. And I had a little resistance because, as you can tell, I already shared with you guys, I'm in a little shift, physical, mental shift. And I believe that it's beyond what's happening with what they say is going around. It's a seasonal shift in our world, and a little bit under the weather, but we're great. Because as I was going through the challenge of last night, coughing and just body aches all over, I fell asleep with so much gratitude because we're not given something we can't handle. We're never given something we can't handle. That means how strong you are. Whatever you're going through right now. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about let's take a moment to breathe. So much noise going on in the world. Sometimes it appears to be challenging. Sometimes it appears to be heavy or a lot of pressure to love ourselves, to remember who we are, and to come back home. We get so bombarded with the noise of the world, with the sensory of the world, that we forget how best we can serve. How best we can serve is not depleting ourselves, trying to save the world. The greatest way, blessing Sylvia, the greatest way that we can, if you want to call it save the world, which is really just remind the world of who they are, that's basically how we are going to save the world, is we remind them who they are. And when you can make you a number one priority, you'll be able to be a greater force, a greater source, a greater reflection for other people They have no idea what's possible. And we're going to go into how we can use the seasons that are at hand to really transcend and transform all the density, all the confusion, all the chaos that appears to be uncontrollable, because it is. I want to thank my wife for all her work and everything that she does. Even though we have our days, even though we have our challenges, at the end of the day, I love her devotion. I love her sacrifice. She could be doing other things, but she chooses to be loving herself. She chooses to be finding her voice. So thank you. Want to share something?
No.
I'll take it back.
You wanted to share something. Oh, I just
Would you love to share something?
Oh,
Maybe I didn't word it.
It's okay, sweetheart. You worded it perfect. Yeah, so today's Nature's Gathering seems a little different, right? Because we usually do it at 8 a.m., but it's getting cold. And yes, we've been under the weather a little bit. I started and then Michael continued, and so I'm a little ahead of the game with him, so my pain isn't as intense as it was. But we're here because we truly love and honor what we do. And when we started doing Nature's Inner Gathering, it was way before COVID, to bring the awareness of why it's so important to go back to nature, to ground, to give nature that honor it deserves, to really stop and not just smell the roses like that saying says, but to really stop and value the beauty, the greatness, the benefits of nature. And then COVID hit, and then obviously people are like, wow, no, I wish I could be at a park, or wow, I took all those trees for granted, all that beautiful sky, and now we're stuck in our homes. And Michael and I still continue to do Nature's Inner Gathering, even with COVID. Obviously, we're sitting out here by ourselves, but that's okay. Why? Because we want to bring to those viewers...
We still are.
Yeah, we want to bring to those viewers new...
But we're not. We have everyone with us.
Yes, so we wanted to bring to those viewers that are stuck at home by choice, or that are just stuck at home because sometimes they're in depression. You know, we don't realize it's depression until it's too late. And so even if we were under the weather, we decided that we'd still do Nature's Gathering, but we did change the time, so it's a little different now with it being 2 o'clock here in Yuma. And we may adjust that. We may keep it 2 o'clock. We may adjust it depending on how the weather and so forth. But more than anything, as Michael...
We forgot there's a lot of birthday parties there.
Yeah, that's why. So one thing I know from the most depths of my heart is that we're going to be where we need to be at the moment we need to be. And that Source uses us in so many different ways. And even with all the pain and all the setbacks that I had for a moment, I was able to spend some really beautiful quality time this morning with family and enjoying things that I need to do sometimes. And even if we're here and it seems like it's a sacrifice, let me tell you it's not. I know what Michael meant about it being a sacrifice, but truly, I honestly enjoy knowing that we can bring a little ray of hope, a little ray of sunshine, a little ray of love to those that are watching us. And for anyone that stumbles across this video and is watching it for the first time, or for those that watch us all the time, just know that our intentions, our heart, our truly transparent heart is here to serve and to truly just share the love. That with that love, it's an injection. Every Saturday, come get your injection of love, of truth, of nature, because that is what keeps us going. Yes, we could take some supplements, medication at times, different things that people believe in, but at the end of all of that, the one thing behind everything is love. It will always be that way. You can see it as cliche or see it as a crutch, but it's not. When you truly love yourself and you love life and you love your creator and you love everything that's around you, you can't help but be blessed by that love. It all comes back to you. And I truly believe that. I know I've had moments in my life where I could have many reasons and justifications to go the opposite way and say I hate, or I dislike, or I'm frustrated about this or that, or I'm sad about it, which is where I usually go. I turn it into sadness. But deep down inside, if you really choose love, compassion, to comprehend and put yourself in somebody else's shoes, it'll come back to you 10 times fold. And even then, there's a part in the Bible that says that when you curse someone, when you speak ill of someone, that someone gets blessed 10 times over anyway. So either way, if people like what we do or don't, if people are in agreement or not, we will still be blessed. And all we do is genuinely care about our environment, our world, our friends, our family. And with this little piece of video, that's really all it is. It's just a moment to come into your life through this screen to share with you how amazing life can be when you truly see it from love and you truly see it from unconditional love. So when things don't go your way, when things are not the way we want, it's okay. It's okay. We can still be upset about it. We can still not feel good about it, but we don't dwell on that. And we just know that we will always be where we are meant to be at the right time, because timing is divine. So that's my 2 cents worth for today.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, love. And also I want to thank those that are joining the Samadhi Vision through the courses, through their group classes, which we just started ours on Thursday, and it was amazing. It was amazing because to have a place that you could just be yourself. Because in the world, the majority, wherever we go, it's like we have to fit in, we have to talk a certain way, we have to act a certain way, we have to look a certain way, we have to, achieve a certain amount to be recognized, or all these different, boundaries and barriers. And the thing about it is we're creating a space where you don't have to feel that you have to do something to fit in. Just being your natural self. People ask us when we do our classes, what am I supposed to do? We have one rule. Just relax and be yourself. Listen to that. Oh, the video paused. Just relax. Just relax and be yourself. Think about that if we came into this world and, our schools and our churches and everywhere we went, just said relax and be yourself. And there's a lot of people that can argue that, well, that's why there wouldn't be order in the world, that's why there would be crime. But if you think about it, look how much crime is now.
Because of the restrictions.
Because of the boundaries and the barriers. This is an argument that to me doesn't make sense, because if you allow someone to be themselves, they have the freedom and the liberty to be who they are. They're not going to want to take from anybody else because they have their own source. And when they can be themselves, they're not in competition. They're not in the fear mode. They're not in the fight or flight. They're not trying to fight or compete or justify or thinking that they have to hold down another person to feel successful. This is why we created the neutral zone. So if you'd like to be a part of it, please let us know and we'll get you in. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to build on its own. And it's not going to build even on what we want. It's going to build on the collective vision of what the world needs. Because Samadhi is just a vessel. Samadhi is just a channel on humanity, how to remember themselves. Because really, Samadhi is for humanity. It is not for Alice. It is not for Michael. And those of you that know us, you know that we live what we practice what we talk. We live what we say. We live what we teach. Or we live what we remind. We teach. Right? So, back to the subject at hand, because, when you come to these gatherings or any of our videos, just be yourself. You can comment whatever you want. We have people that even, criticize us, and we thank them, because you know what? You're expressing whatever you need to express. There's so much dialogue that people argue and they justify over who's right and who's wrong, instead of saying, you know what? Thank you for expressing yourself. Thank you for having the liberty to share what's on your heart. Thank you for having the liberty to share what you don't like. Thank you for sharing for whatever you need to let go. Because if we are that vehicle for them to let go, I mean, if somebody wants to tell us we're doing this or we're doing that and we're a bunch of crazy people, because just the other day I want to give shout outs to these beautiful people that, I mean, they posted some very profane things in a group that I shared, and all I did is I said, you know what, just ask yourself, how do you feel when you say that? Because if it doesn't feel, you know, serving you, why would you say that? Because you're not, yeah, because you're not hurting me, you're not damaging me, you're not holding me back, but you are holding yourself back. So that vehicle, that criticism opened up a dialogue that I hope I planted a seed. And see, this is the thing that I want to share with you guys, that not everybody's going to get along in everything. Or no, excuse me, not everybody's going to get, what do you call it? Agree. There we go. Not everybody's going to agree to everything. But agreement doesn't necessarily justify unity. It's working together in our disagreements. It's finding our middle path on how we can agree to disagree, how we can unite, because we all have talents, gifts, and capabilities and potentialities of our profoundness of who and what we came to be. And that's what nature resembles, and that's what nature justifies, and not justifies, that's what nature expresses every moment. Nature's not asking us to be a certain way. All nature desires is our relationship to love and respect nature. Because when we don't, we're going to destroy our environment. And nature's going to keep going. Nature's going to keep thriving, because we see it with massive forest fires. We see it with massive catastrophes. We see it with enormous volcanoes. The earth knows how to take care of itself. The question is, what are we doing to take care of ourselves? How are we symbiotically connected in that relationship with nature? Because that's what this gathering's about every Saturday. And one of them is Grounding for Life. You know, take a barefoot break with us every weekday. An organization that we've joined, the All for One Club, and take your shoes off and join us 10 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. It's an amazing space, and they talk about 10 a.m. Pacific. Thank you so much, love. See, timelines, those are another boundaries, but they're necessarily so. So yeah, join us. And Patty Myers, blessings, beautiful soul, thank you for joining us. Nadeem Sadar says, my WhatsApp number, Pastor Nadeem Sadar from Lahore, Pakistan Church. Lahore. Amen, he says. Beautiful brother and sister, we have, it's not easy for me to see right here. We have sent you requests for my orphan school, children very needs foods, bags, and holy Bibles for distribution in Pakistan Church. Well, you know what, brother, I'll tell you this. We are in the midst of bringing a lot of abundance to Samadhi. So, you know, we're going to do what we can to help as many people as we can. But in the meantime, what we can help is get your people on these lives, get your people listening to remember who they are, because as we remember who we are, we're going to awaken this connection, this intuitiveness, this bridge that is a powerful way to manifest the life that we desire to live. And the thing about it is, it's not even manifesting in the physical world, because prior to that, we must manifest in an inner world and build a strong foundation. Because if we manifest the physical world, but we don't build that strong foundation inside of us, that outer world is going to crumble like a house of cards. And that's what we're seeing a lot. That's what we're seeing, that a lot of people put all their trust in their finances, in materialistic things, in physical relationships, and not their relationship. And the thing about it is, I'm not downing that. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but imbalanced, it is a repetitive cycle that you're always going to feel empty. You're always going to feel like you're good and not good enough. You're always going to feel like, why isn't this fulfilling me? I mean, we have stories of people that have had the money. Millions come and go. One of them is Ali. Millions go through their hands. Millions, and they weren't happy. I'm not saying money is wrong, because it's a necessary tool, and it's a gift used in the proper mature way of somebody who's connected and aware of the relationship of money within them. Daniel Bolin, thank you for joining us, brother. So, did you want to share anything?
Oh, I was just, I was still back in the word that you said about agreement. It doesn't always mean unity. And that's very important. We can agree with certain people, but is there really that unity? Because we can be in agreement with politics, or we can be in agreement with the way we conduct business and all the entrepreneurs and all the stuff that we do online, but is there really unity? Are we really there for others without judgment or without jealousy or without this sort of ego, I can do better, or, yeah, I agree, but that unity, that true unconditional unity of saying, I want this for my brother or sister because I know that it is something that could benefit, or I will step down and be more attentive to my ways so that my brother or sister can step up. There's many different ways that we can unite, and I loved it when Michael said it, like, you can be in agreement, but you're not united, because deep down inside there's always something stuck. There could be something that you haven't worked on, and on the outside we might look like we agree. I mean, look at this country, supposedly so many agreements on certain things, two sides to everything, but is it really a United States? I mean, really, is it really united, and that we care about humanity, or is it just we care about ourselves and what we can get out of it,
Oh, thank you for mentioning that.
So that was what I was thinking when you said you felt that I needed to say something. And the other thing that I had, that I don't know if it's pertinent, it doesn't matter, but I know we all have different opinions on things that get passed in voting, propositions for drugs, for marijuana, for this and that. And those are topics that sometimes people don't want to touch, but my humble opinion is, this is how I've always felt.
We have the greatest natural drug right here inside of us.
We
don't need it.
Yeah, I've never, ever really, I've never used any exterior substance for my physical benefit. I don't know if that sounds right. But even aspirin, I mean, I just won't take anything that I don't believe in. And I rarely ever took medication.
You just didn't realize it.
Oh yeah, but I didn't even take medication when I was a kid.
There's people that take substances, like, for example, somebody goes back to an abusive partner.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm talking about, you want to get there.
That's how they get medicated.
Okay, well, if you want to get there, that's
but we didn't
something.
Open up that kind of work.
Yeah, well, that's
unless you want to, we can go.
No, I don't mind. But what I'm talking about is actual, tangible substance. I never used any tangible substance, like in a pill.
And me looking for people to hurt.
In a bottle.
Good,
in a bottle, like alcohol. I didn't look for anything that I could smoke, ingest. I'm talking physical. Yes, emotional. Was I addicted to the abuse? Did it make me feel better after my abuser came back and apologized and said, I'll never do it again, and I'm going to do the best that I can to be better, to not put you through that pain? Yes, I would go ahead and go back to it because it felt good to have that hope. But that's why maybe I didn't do drugs or didn't use alcohol as an escape, because I was already so messed up and I knew it. I already knew I was so messed up, meaning that mentally I was a mess and I knew it, but I just couldn't get out of it. So going back to that subject, why it's coming up, I don't know, but talking about nature and talking about what this world has to offer, if anything that grows from this earth, we as human beings have decided, and it's so silly, I saw this in a documentary, way back, I mean, in the very, 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 very way back, people would eat something and, oh shoot, they died, okay, that we won't eat anymore. That's how humans decided, what berries, what fruits, what comes from the earth that we can eat and we can't eat. And if they didn't die, okay, we can eat, let's say, potatoes, or I don't know, or we can eat beans or whatever it was back then. I don't know exactly what foods. But there's certain plants that look the same, very similar.
I need to scoot over there because of heat. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, good.
Well, you could talk. Look, I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to move it. The heat is going to shut down our phone, so we have to see. And that's another thing about the temperature. So go ahead.
So anyway,
Daniel says, how did you escape?
How did I escape? Oh, Daniel.
Great question, brother.
Daniel, honestly, my story is, if I wrote a book or made a movie about it, my daughters would kid me about, is it going to be a comedy or is it going to be a horror story? I finally was cancer. Cancer, when I was diagnosed, it opened my eyes to knowing that life is so fragile. And I kept waiting for the day for my ex-husband to change and to say that he was done with the abuse. But then I realized that the one that had to change or transform was me. And then I started to love myself, and I came to know through Michael what true unconditional self-love, because I had a lot of love for everybody else but myself. So
really she didn't escape. She
left the abuse.
No, what did you say though? What did you say when you come back home? She returned.
I just came home. I just came home to myself, and the truth of the matter is I was done blaming everybody else. I did that for many years.
Say that again, because that's
I was done blaming everybody else. I kept trying to find a justification for my sorrow. I wanted to make sure that every time I cried, that every time I felt like a victim and that I was suffering, that there was someone I can point the finger at, because it was so horrible. And I'm not taking away from the abuse. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, he really didn't do it. No. He took advantage of my vulnerability and my kindness, but I allowed it. And I became a victim of myself. I became a vicious circle, just a vicious cycle of not knowing. Whatever I knew was just for survival and not thriving. So when I made, because I can smell the bunny rabbit. There we go.
We had a little bit of a technical difficulty with the signal, but we're back.
So I don't know if you missed any of it, Daniel, but in a nutshell, when I was diagnosed and I was told that if I didn't go through all the chemo and the stuff that they do in Western medicine, according to the doctors, I'd have 3 to 6 months. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to live my life, and I'm not going to die or transcend, but I'm not going to die an abused woman. I won't do that to myself anymore. So it's been a process, because even though I've not been in that relationship for 3 years, deep down inside, there still have been some triggers where I will do the abuse to myself, and I'll find a justification to cry and to be sad. But deep down inside, I've been practicing what we preach, what we teach, and I just know that my happiness solely depends on my reaction to things. And I've always been a patient person. I've always been very respectful and kind. Now I'm just using that for me.
One thing I did want to say.
I'm learning, experiencing, approaching, using whatever word we want to use to practice that on myself, and to not settle, to just not settle. So if my life would have been cut short and I would have only had 6 months, I wanted them to be the best 6 months ever, that every day. So like today, I'm just going to live it to the fullest of whatever comes. And if somehow along the day someone is not in agreement, or somebody thinks it should have been done a different way, or there we are. So Daniel, I'm going to stop because I'm trying to answer your question, and I'm on and on, making it into this long story, and Michael's going to segue into what I was saying. So basically, I'm great. I'm better than great. I'm better than I've ever been. And people like you, Daniel, have added to that. You, honestly, in my heart, have been a tremendous help with your patience, your kindness, what you've shared with us just on phone calls. So that's what I love. I surround myself by people like you, and I create this family that is just amazing to me, and everything's great. Everything's great. So Michael?
Thank you. That's not easy. It is, beautiful bee right here. One thing I did want to say is segue to what Ali was saying is, she was saying how she didn't use drugs, but a lot of people are not realizing that we're medicating in different ways, and we're overly medicated. Because when Ali was talking about how the United States, just the United States alone, is so divided. We looked at it when the polls, the voting for the president, it was so close, according to what we're told, because who knows if that's true. But if that is true, that's a wake-up call. That's a wake-up call for humanity, because if we can't even decide on the values of one president, that shows how we are so divided in a people that we want the best for just one country. Imagine the world. So one thing I would love for you guys, for you beautiful souls, to really be aware of is how we've been so stimulated and medicated by the stimulation of dopamine and serotonin. And what I mean is, how many likes do I get? Oh, next video. And we're so connected to our phones and our computers and our technology that we've lost connection with the greatest technology. This is why we're here. And out of all the times that humanity is starting to reawaken at a massive scale, it's not a coincidence that we're coming into the winter. And I said I was going to share some things about the winter because I think it's important. Is first of all, I'm going to do like what is it called? Not a band, but a recon? No, there's two things of sugar. A little more. You can go on that side. A little more. No, a little more that way. That way. Look, you're in the sun right now. If you go a little more, you can go more. There we are. We're back. Excuse us for the having to remobilize or redirect our cameras. One thing I did want to share is the importance of what's coming up in this season. Is we hear about a massive shift, but we also have, global shifts of seasons. And a lot of people don't realize that when it's winter,